Hello, guys, and welcome to another episode of Word, the series where we do the unthinkable and judge books by their covers, mainly the indies, because we're here to support indies. And when it comes to covers, everyone judges a book by its cover. So we're just going to lean into that. We're going to take a book from an indie author and we're going to judge it and ask the question, would I read this based on its cover? I am J.A. Bryden, and with me always is Neil Cassells. How are we, Neil?
I'm very well, thank you.
Um, how do you feel about Westerns?
I like westerns.
You like Westerns? Well,
Yeah,
because this next cover,
we've got a western.
no, but yes, no, and yes. SJ Gibson
Okay.
is going to be coming on our podcasts in a few weeks, or depending whenever this episode drops, August sometime. Um, and he told us that it is Western aesthetic. So it's like
Ooh,
it's a fantasy set in a Western. So with that in mind, I'm going to
okay.
hit this share button on this book called Law. Three, two, one. Law.
I see what you mean about a western aesthetic.
Yeah. Well, I first thought Western cool. Ryan on the other episodes, he hates Westerns. He just can't do Westerns. Um, and so the interview is very funny because it's him going, I really don't like Westerns. Nothing against you. I just don't like Westerns. I don't read Westerns. I don't watch Westerns. And then he's like, this guy SJ's like, it's not Western. It's Western aesthetic. So yes, it looks Western. It's not even. There's no talk of the history of America or anything like that, But it's a fantasy story in a Western looking world. Um, so that being said, I'm going to turn over the back. I'm going to read the blurb. Um, Even these names are a little Western, but let's just remember that it's Western aesthetic. But all right. Micah Drake, overseer of law, a name and reputation that have earned him fame and infamy in equal measure, depending on who you ask. However, a mission turns into a struggle for survival, and his problems are about to get worse. Libby Clement finds herself injured and in the middle of nowhere, with those hunting her willing to do anything to finish her off. Nothing new, it's her life. She hopes to remain alive long enough until she finishes what she's set herself to do: kill those responsible. Lance Falcon is worried about living a quiet life, free from harm, and keeping it that way. Soon his life is anything but, and his worries are only increasing. When law is the authority and rules over many, what happens in a land where there are no laws? Wow, that's pretty good. Now I must say I do have a bit of insider information because I've heard a little bit about this. So I'm cheating. So I'll let you take the wheel here, Neil. What are your first thoughts on that blurb?
Okay. Um, I'm interested. I mean, the from the idea that you've got an overseer and someone injured in the middle of nowhere being hunted, that gives me very Western
Yeah,
vibes. And the cover, that is a gorgeous vista with the setting sun and the very uh, southern US looking rock
yeah.
formations,
Mm-hmm.
and then the silhouette in the foreground with the hat on
Yep.
horseback. Yes, very very Western vibes.
Yeah.
And I did just recently rewatch Tombstone.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I've got those. I've kind of
Yeah.
got that kind of Western
Yeah.
hankering going at the moment.
But
Uh,
apparently at some point it goes from Western to like what the flip. So that's pretty cool. He did make this
okay,
cover himself with his wife. So I think they were limited on what they could do, but it looks brilliant. Um, but the only thing I'd say would be that I wish there was a little more fantasy element in it if it seems it's supposed to be fantasy. But
That depends on how much fantasy,
yeah,
really, doesn't
yeah.
it?
Well, it like I said, it's a Western backdrop, but there's fantasy, a lot of fantasy stuff in it. Um, it's just like almost maybe it's a little bit misleading, but maybe that's a good thing because you know I love a good twist. So if you're reading this Western aesthetic and it just goes, to something else, I'd love it. I would really love that.
Hmm.
I'm one of these weird people that like the M. Night Shyamalan movie, The Village.
Yep.
The twist at the end, and you're just like,
What
I
a
lo-
tease.
I love that stuff. I'm weird. Now I'm not an advocate for M. Night, um, but like, I'll admit when he does a good movie. Same with Taika Waititi. I'll admit when he does a good movie. Um,
We're still waiting.
no, no, Taika. Look, Jojo Rabbit, loved it. Um, yeah, okay, we're done. Nah. Um,
Yep. So, would you read that?
yes, no, like I would. I already told him I'd want to read it. When we recorded live. So, but it clocks in at 421 pages, which is you know, like that's huge for me. Because I look at a book and I'm just like, and when it's thick and big, I'm going like, geez, how long is it going to take me to, you know, but that's only my concern. But no, look, this book sounds and looks great. Like I said, I have a little bit more insider knowledge. I know a bit more about the plot, bit more about the characters. But yes, 100%, I would read that. I would read that. Um,
I
so
would read
guys,
that. I
yeah,
would read that. I've got my I've got a hankering for some Western aesthetics at the moment, so
yeah.
yeah, I'd read that.
And yes, it's on Kindle Unlimited for those playing at home. Um, so yeah, guys, if you've got a book for us to judge, send it to thetrueandthefictional@gmail.com. Chime down below. I'll leave the link for this book down in the show notes. And yeah, until next time.